Hi guys, today we're going to be taking a look at a Bulgarian Splinter camo uniform. Now, before we get into the actual uniform details, let's get a bit of historical background. So, the original splitter tarn or splitter mooster pattern was developed by Germany in World War II. And this is a somewhat similar pattern. I know the Swiss also used the variant that the Germans used in World War II on shelter halves, but this is the Bulgarian version. And this particular iteration has been in use, first introduced in 1979 with these little lines, and then again in 1991, and I believe this is the later 1991 version. Even though the 1979 and 1991 versions look very similar, there's like very little differences. I believe this is more modern because the shapes are connected, whereas on the older version, there would be like a little gap in between here, so there'd be some differences. At least that's what it says on Camopedia, and that's my primary source of information. Let's just take a look at the pattern real quick. So what's cool about this pattern is obviously we have the big blocks of Splinter here. So like these are the fractal shapes. Kind of reminds me of also the Swedish M90 camo. And then another cool thing we have is these rain drops, like these little rain squiggly lines. So this is another unique function, that in between the space we have these cool little lines. Now it doesn't show up the best on this camera, but the actual fabric of this uniform is a lot more olive green. Here it's showing up as kind of like not that much color, maybe brownish, but it's really more olive green. This is a very similar color to what it's showing up on the screen, like a dark brown, and this is like a darker green. So let's just zoom out and we can see how you can see like all the different shapes. Some of them look like arrows and stuff like that. This particular uniform is size XXL, according to the tag at least, as you can clearly see here. We have XXL, other information, the manufacturer. This is likely the size. And this information is kind of obscured because it's on the edge of the tag. And if you flip it over, you see the laundry instructions. You can't really read this last line, unfortunately. But as we can tell, just by comparing it to the background blanket, it is a very large uniform. So what we do have is these two front pockets, which are buttoned up. And they use these buttons on the newer Bulgarian DPM uniform. I made a video on that. You can check it out on my channel as well. Right here, just a simple button. So just two front pockets. A really big piece of Velcro, either for name or country tape. I feel like this is probably maybe the country patch or something. I don't know. The other thing about this uniform is there's a lot of different cuts you can find them in. So, you know, a lot of different variations you can find this pattern in. And you can see the back of the collar right there. Moving along to the arms, we have the cuffs, button up, and there is a single button for the cuffs. So non-adjustable. Many other uniforms have different adjustments, but this is only one size. And there's doesn't seem to be another button here to tighten it anymore. Okay, not bad. And then on the other uniform we have the same thing. A single button for the cuff and this little piece of fabric here. I don't really see any elbow pads, so there's no reinforced elbow pads like some uniforms have. There's no little holes for sweat drainage in the armpits. And the same thing, no holes, no arm pads. Not really going to unbutton the uniform. There's nothing on the inside. There's no manufacturer's information, just, you know, fabric. So nothing too interesting to see there. Let's take a closer look at the buttons. You can see that there. We'll just take a closer look at the uniform. Just a little scan to get a visual reference. See how the pattern interacts. And we'll flip it over as well. Take one last look at the uniform from the backside. And if you look closely, you can already see some repetition from this shape right here. Then this is the same shape right there. You got that brown shape and that brown shape as well. So that's already repeating. And you can see it again up there. So we have like a line here of repeating shapes. So that's something pretty interesting to note. Yeah, this is the same thing. This shape, yeah. And it looks like, this appears, no, they're not the same exactly. But you get the idea. So it's a pretty cool pattern. I really like it. I think it's really cool. Splinter patterns are very neat. I really like the way, the shapes interact. And overall, it's a very cool pattern. But in recent years, they've gone to DPM and then other patterns, I believe. So this is no longer a current issue. If you wanted to find one of these, it might be a little pricey. I got this one on auction on eBay for a pretty good deal. But I've seen other ones going for pretty expensive, upwards of like $60. But if you know someone in Bulgaria, you could probably get it cheaper. But then again, international shipping. Well, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this quick look at this uniform. Have a great day.